The fact of the matter is math doesn't care like who you are, like
Right.
whether you're a law enforcement agency or you're like a criminal, like
or a state actor.
Right? It's just doesn't make mathematical sense to say, well, we're going to just put a backdoor into this encryption that only the good guys will be able to decrypt. It just doesn't shake out that way. And so,
I mean, are they talking about that in Congress? Like the U.S. using our backdoors against other nations?
All kinds of, I mean, they're already using I mean, that's the thing, right?
No, but I'm saying like if they're mandating that we put in these backdoors and then like they're like, oh, we're no longer friends with Japan.
Right.
And then they're just like, oh, well, let's exploit all the phones that we have backdoors to.
I mean, I don't think that there's any, I don't think they're talking about it from nation to nation. I think they're really talking about the FBI law enforcement level of, hey, we know there are these people in the US that we want to be able to like, you know,
right, but I'm saying like slippery slope. Like
in the old days, right? Like if they were doing it all through mail and, you know, locked safes, we could crack those. We could, you know, we didn't need some backdoor into a safe. We could actually just open a safe. Like there's ways to always do that, or open people's mail, or tap a phone. But and so I think law enforcement has this view of this is the way we've always done it. So we need to be able to continue being able to do what we've always done in this new encrypted world. So please go ahead and give us the ability to wiretap an encrypted conversation.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. Like you know, the way the government has historically operated is they have a monopoly on force, right? Like overwhelming force is how they like solve these problems. Like, you know, you get a warrant, you can like bust someone's door open and do whatever. But like cybersecurity and technology has this thing, it's a leveling playing field where, I mean, if you look at the tactics that law enforcement agencies use to like, you know, spy on people that have good encryption, like they're putting implants on people's phones, right? And so like rootkits and like, so you're using the same exact techniques as like, you know, criminal enterprises who are stealing Bitcoin or whatever. You just have different intent. I think it's a very uncomfortable place for law enforcement to be because, like, to your point, like they're used to being able to do whatever they want as a, you know, matter of course. But.
I always think of the XKCD with the wrench and the
exactly.
Do you think part of the problem is that the people that are kind of in charge and kind of making these decisions are, I don't want to say like too old, but like they're so removed from this because like for like you and I at least, and possibly Mike, because you've been doing like like you've done like computer programming stuff for like almost your entire life, basically almost.
Well, more than half my life.
Right, but like where Josh and I grew up, and like I'm saying like younger people now like grew up with an iPhone when they were one. You know, they were playing games on iPads and like, so there's this like different understanding of kind of like what's possible. It's like similar to kind of like what a lot of people face in the military and like why they kind of get out and things like that is like the people that are making these decisions just don't like innately understand it enough. Right. And like, I don't know if there's a person that could spend enough time to like overcome that innate knowledge where it's like, we've just been using it for so much longer that like these people are kind of so far removed that it's like a difficult thing in their mind to even consider the other side.
No, I mean, I think it's different than that. I think that there's, in my mind, right, it's not just the like the okay boomer type response to people, right? I think it gets more into the this is how we've done it and this has worked and we don't see a world where we can do it any other way. Like, I don't think that there's enough people at the highest levels really looking at, well, like, hey, how can we do this in a way that really works, as opposed to trying to just force or enforce the same things that have always worked in the past. When you have somebody who used to be a prosecutor who is now in Congress, and I'm not suggesting, I realize that that's a topic now, but that's not where I'm going. Right. And now they're there. They know what worked for them when they were a prosecutor 20 years ago. So I think there's some of that. I think there's more of that than people not really understanding what's capable and what's not capable. I mean, that's clearly part of it as well.
Sure.
I'm curious what your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've lost a lot of the ability to see where the other side is coming from.
Yes.
And that doesn't get better when there's a very technical subject involved. So if you have technologists on one side and you have like old fuddy-duddies on the other.
Or just lay people in general.
Or lay people in general. Right. Yep. It's like we're already in an environment where it's very difficult to talk to each other and come to like some reasoned agreement on both sides, right?
Right.
But it makes it all that much more difficult because you just...
I think it actually makes it more difficult because one of the things, and it just occurred to me, is so on the one side you have these very technical people trying to explain something technical to lay people that are
maybe not the most receptive.
Oh, not just not receptive, but also at the end of the day, like they it just doesn't matter. Like I don't get it. Like I don't understand.
Right.
Like if you can do that, I don't understand why. You're right. They just don't have that level, right? But the other side, the technical side, probably can wrap their mind around what the other side is trying to say with regard to like, well, no, I get it. You want to stop criminals and blah, blah, blah. So it comes off very dismissive and arrogant from the technologist side to the layperson side, because the layperson side is much easier for anybody to understand what the intent is. And then you're just basically, the technology side frequently just sounds like, no, you just don't understand.
Well, it's probably super frustrating too, because it's you're trying to have like the conversation and discussion, but nobody is like close to your level to actually have that kind of conversation. And so you're trying to describe it like a very high level, and they're just the ones they keep bringing up are super bottom level. And so it's like probably super frustrating at that point.
Right. That. And I mean, I love listening to Congress. I listen to C-SPAN. I'm one of the few people.
You're one of the 4 watchers?
Oh, no, I listen to it in the car.
Oh. So, I mean, like...
But what's interesting, right? I mean, like, just the way they ask questions. I think C-SPAN in general, I mean, I love it because it gives me access, but it also, I think, changed everything because now people are going for sound bites. Right. So you have these people that are now testifying, and people who are asking the questions have an agenda, and they ask questions in such a way that it's like, I'm sorry, I can't, there's no right answer. There isn't an answer. The way you phrase this question, it's like,
when did you stop beating your wife?
Exactly. That's the question. When did you stop beating your wife? And it's like, how do I answer that? And so, and there's nobody there to say like, I object.
Right.
So
yeah, I think Twitter hasn't made this better.
Right. Exactly. Nothing.
Well, and I mean, I think the whole like Zuckerberg in front of Congress didn't make it any better either, because you were just like, wow, you can't even, like, it's hard for you to grasp, like, when Facebook is literally just talking about like our messages are encrypted, and they just don't seem to like know what the word encrypted means.
Right.
And like, I'd be like, yeah, like there's no hope for like a more technical.
Well, right. I mean, we're now in this, like this already adversarial space.
Right.
And yeah, you're not going to bring in a blackboard and start teaching. So I know that there's a lot of staffers behind the scenes. There's a lot of people that are trying to inform on both sides. You look at, and there's plenty of organizations out there that are trying to work. I mean, most of what happens in Congress happens behind closed doors. It's staffers talking to,
Well, I mean, if we had the encryption backdoor, we would know what's happening behind these closed doors.
I mean, I feel like we don't need the encryption backdoor because, I mean, we know government and it's super secure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the other thing is like, look, you can't, once we know these things about math, like you can't unknow them. Right. And so like you can mandate all these, what are essentially weakening schemes to like the cryptography we use, but at the end of the day, like people who are breaking the law anyway, they're going to use whatever strong encryption is.
Right. I mean, why would I just will choose not to upgrade, right? Like at Signal right now, I know it's secure. I can communicate securely using that.
Exactly.
I'm never going to change it to some less secure system.
Yeah.
I mean,
so it's not even clear. It's just not even clear to me what the point is. Like not even arguing that this is a bad idea. It is, but it's not even clear to me like what the government is trying to get out of this.
I mean, it gets back to the other side, like the gun lobby, right? Like, hey, yeah, if you want to do that, if we do all of these things, then the only people who have guns are criminals.
Sure,
it's the same sort of thing.
Sure.
It's not really going to solve the problem.